The Academy banned cadets from Deathworlds. The human raised her hand. I'm from Earth. The great assembly hall of the Interstellar Unified Academy was built to impress. Its ceiling arched so high that clouds were projected across it, slowly drifting to calm nervous cadets. Hundreds of species sat in ordered rows, their colors, shapes, and breathing patterns all different, yet united by the same goal. They had come to learn, to earn rank, and to one day serve the wider galaxy. The hall was quieter than usual. At the center platform stood Director Kahl, a tall being with silver skin and four calm eyes. His voice echoed smoothly as he delivered announcements that normally caused excitement or relief. Today, his tone was heavy. By unanimous decision of the Oversight Council, he said, the Academy will immediately enforce a revised admission policy. A low murmur moved through the room. Policy changes were rare. Sudden ones were almost unheard of. Worlds classified as death worlds, the director continued, will no longer be eligible to send cadets for training. The murmurs grew louder. Some cadets stiffened. Others leaned toward their neighbors, whispering in alarm. Deathworlds were planets where survival itself was a constant struggle. Extreme gravity, violent weather, aggressive life forms, unstable ecosystems. Species that evolved on such worlds were widely believed to be dangerous, unpredictable, and unsuitable for cooperative command. For safety reasons, Director Kahl said, and to maintain order within the Academy, this restriction is final. Silence fell. In the third row near the center aisle, a human woman sat perfectly still. Her name was Mara Ellison. She had known this moment might come someday. Ever since she arrived, she had noticed the looks, the pauses in conversation, the way instructors sometimes watched her a little longer than necessary. Earth was not a common topic here, but when it was mentioned, voices dropped. Still, hearing the words spoken so clearly sent a strange cold feeling through her chest. Director Kahl raised one hand. Any currently enrolled cadet who originates from a death world must identify themselves immediately. Compliance is required. No one moved. The hall felt frozen, as if even the air was waiting. Some cadets glanced around nervously. Others looked relieved, certain this rule would not affect them. A few instructors exchanged uneasy expressions. The Academy prided itself on knowledge, but fear still lived beneath the surface. Mara took a slow breath. She had learned long ago that hiding never made things easier. Her chair made a soft sound as she stood. The movement was small, but it caught attention like a spark. Heads turned, eyes focused. The human female was not large by galactic standards. She wore the standard gray cadet uniform like everyone else. No weapons, no armor, nothing threatening. She raised her hand. Director Kahl's four eyes narrowed slightly. "Cadet, state your origin." Mara's voice was steady, clear, calm. "I'm from Earth." The effect was instant. Gasps, hisses, clicks, and startled movements echoed across the hall. Several cadets recoiled in their seats. One avian species spread its wings in alarm. A thick-skinned reptilian cadet let out a low growl before catching themselves. Earth, a death world with crushing gravity, unstable tectonics, apex predators on land, sea, and air. A planet that had produced a species known for persistence, war, and survival against impossible odds. Whispers spread like wildfire. "She doesn't look dangerous." "Is that true? A human?" "They let a deathworlder in." "How long has she been here?" Director Kahl did not speak right away. His gaze remained fixed on Mara, studying her posture, her breathing, her expression. He had expected fear, defiance, anger. He saw none of it. "Cadet Ellison," he said slowly, reading from the display before him. "You concealed this information." "No, Director," Mara replied. "My records list Earth as my homeworld." A brief pause followed as data was reviewed. "Confirmed," an aide said quietly. The director straightened. "Then you understand that under the new policy." "I understand," Mara said. Her interruption caused another ripple of shock. Interrupting the director was against protocol, yet her tone was respectful, not challenging. "I understand the concern," she continued, "but I would like to state that I have followed every rule since my arrival. I have passed every evaluation. I have harmed no one." Some instructors shifted uncomfortably. That much was true. Director Call held up a hand. "This is not a debate, cadet." Mara nodded once and lowered her hand, but she did not sit. "I only wanted to be honest," she said. The director studied her a moment longer, then turned to the hall. "This matter will be reviewed," he announced. "Cadet Ellison is to remain under observation until a final decision is made. The assembly is dismissed." The lights dimmed slightly, signaling the end. The noise returned all at once. As cadets filed out, Mara felt the space around her widen unnaturally. No one walked beside her. Conversation stopped when she passed. Some stared openly now, no longer pretending curiosity was not fear. She did not blame them. On Earth, she had grown up learning to read danger in small signs. The shift of an animal's weight. The sudden silence of birds. Fear had a shape. This fear was unfamiliar, but she recognized it all the same. Outside the hall, the academy's central corridor stretched wide and bright. Floating displays showed lessons, simulations, and schedules. Normally, this place felt alive. Today, it felt like she was walking alone through it. A small, many-eyed cadet named Rilsa watched her from a distance. They had shared a navigation class once. Rilsa hesitated, then turned away, clearly unsure what to do. Mara continued toward her quarters. She had left Earth to escape assumptions, to prove that humans could belong among the stars without being defined by old stories. She had believed that knowledge would matter more than origin here. Apparently, she had been wrong. Inside her room, she sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall display without turning it on. Memories surfaced uninvited. Heavy rain pounding metal rooftops. Training drills under higher gravity than most species could tolerate. Her father's voice reminding her that survival was not about strength alone, but about patience. A soft chime broke her thoughts. "Cadet Ellison," came a voice from the door panel. "You are requested in Evaluation Chamber 3. She stood, smoothed her uniform, and walked out. The chamber was smaller, circular, with transparent walls that showed instructors observing from outside. Inside waited Examiner Tavek, a bulky being with thick arms and a calm presence. "Sit," he said gently. Mara did. "You are not in trouble," Tavek said. "Yet." She allowed herself a small breath. "Tell me," he continued, "why did you not warn us? Humans are not unknown." Mara considered her words carefully. "Because where I'm from," she said, "being treated differently usually starts before people know you." "I wanted to be judged by what I do, not where I come from." Tavek watched her closely. "And what do you do when others fear you?" Mara met his gaze. "I stay calm. Fear spreads fast. Calm spreads too if you let it." The examiner leaned back slightly. He had expected defiance. Perhaps even pride. Instead, he saw discipline. Outside the chamber, other instructors whispered. Some argued for immediate removal. Others pointed to her flawless record. None could deny what they had seen today. The academy had banned Deathworld cadets. But one had already raised her hand. And for the first time in its long history, the academy would have to face an uncomfortable truth. The human from Earth was not afraid. And that, more than anything, made them uneasy. The next morning at the academy felt different. Mara noticed it the moment she stepped into the corridor. Normally, cadets moved in loose groups, talking about lessons or arguing over theory. Today, the space around her stayed empty. Conversations stopped when she passed. Eyes followed her, some wide with fear, others sharp with curiosity. Word had spread fast, the human from Earth, a Deathworlder. She kept her pace steady and her posture relaxed. On Earth, showing tension only invited trouble. Calm was armor. Her first class was Advanced Environmental Survival. The irony did not escape her. She entered the lecture chamber and chose a seat near the back, as she always did. The room filled slowly, but the chairs around her remained empty. Instructor Velun entered without his usual energy. His long limbs moved stiffly as he activated the display. A list of extreme planetary environments appeared in the air. "Today," he said, "we will discuss survival response in high-risk ecosystems." His gaze flicked toward Mara for half a second too long. "Cadets," he continued, "theories are useful, but experience shapes instinct." A few heads turned toward the human. Mara stared at the display, her face neutral. Velun described acid storms, thin atmospheres, and crushing gravity. Many cadets took notes quickly, clearly nervous. When he described predator evasion on hostile worlds, a scaled cadet raised a claw. "Instructor," the cadet asked, "are Deathworld species truly capable of cooperation under stress?" The question hung in the air. Velun hesitated. Mara did not look up. "In theory," the instructor said carefully, "any sapient species can learn cooperation." The answer satisfied no one. After class, the corridor filled again. As Mara walked, she heard whispers more clearly now. "They say humans hunt for sport. I heard they fight their own kind constantly. How is she so calm? She's probably pretending." At a junction, a small avian cadet stumbled and dropped a stack of data slates. They slid across the floor, scattering. Mara stopped. For a moment, the avian froze, wings half spread, eyes locked on the human. Fear radiated from them in sharp waves. Mara moved slowly, crouching to pick up the slates. "Here," she said softly, placing them back into the cadet's hands. Her movements were careful, controlled. No sudden motions. The avian stared, then took the slates and fled without a word. Several nearby cadets watched in silence. Mara straightened and continued on her way. By midday, she was summoned again for evaluation. This time, the room held more observers. Director Kahl stood behind the transparent wall, along with medical and behavioral specialists. Examiner Tavek remained inside with her. "You will undergo physical assessment," Tavek said. "This is routine," Mara nodded. The tests began simply: grip strength, endurance, reaction speed, balance under shifting gravity. As the difficulty increased, murmurs grew outside the chamber. Mara adapted without comment. The gravity increased to levels that caused other species discomfort. Mara adjusted her stance, breathing evenly. When asked to maintain balance on a moving platform, she compensated naturally, muscles responding without thought. "She's not struggling," one observer whispered. "She shouldn't be able to do this," another replied. During a stress simulation, alarms blared and the lighting flickered. The scenario was designed to overwhelm the senses. Most cadets panicked within seconds. Mara did not. Her heart rate rose slightly, then stabilized. She focused on priorities, blocking out unnecessary noise. On Earth, chaos was not unusual. Sirens, storms, shouting crowds, you learned to function through it. When the test ended, Tavek studied the results in silence. "These numbers," he said slowly, "are well above average." Mara shrugged. "It's normal where I'm from." That answer unsettled several observers more than the results themselves. Later that day, the Academy announced modified schedules. Some cadets were reassigned. Others were instructed to avoid unnecessary interaction with Mara until further notice. The message was clear. Containment. Mara spent the afternoon in the training yard. Physical activity helped clear her thoughts. She ran laps under artificial sunlight, her footsteps steady against the ground. Other cadets gave her a wide berth. At the edge of the field, Rilsa watched her again. This time Rilsa did not turn away. The small alien approached slowly, eyes darting. "You're really from Earth?" Rilsa asked, voice trembling. Mara slowed to a stop. "Yes." "A real Deathworld," Mara considered. "It's just home." Rilsa swallowed. "Are you dangerous?" The question was honest, not cruel. Mara knelt slightly to lower herself to Rilsa's height. "I can be," she said, "but I choose not to be." Rilsa processed that, then nodded slowly. That's comforting, I think. They stood in silence for a moment, then an alarm rang. A sharp, unfamiliar tone echoed across the academy. Emergency simulation, the system announced. Cadets froze, confused. This was not on the schedule. Training drones descended from above, projecting hostile terrain. The ground shifted into uneven rock. Artificial wind howled. Visibility dropped. Instructors will observe, the system continued. Cadets are to respond according to protocol. Panic spread. Some cadets ran in random directions. Others shouted orders over each other. The protocol assumed calm, orderly response. Reality did not match theory. Mara moved immediately. She scanned the environment, identified shelter points, and marked safe paths. Her voice cut through the noise. "Stay low," she called. "Move together. Don't outrun your visibility." A few cadets hesitated. Then the ground shook. One cadet slipped and fell near a simulated ravine edge. Screams followed. Without thinking, Mara sprinted forward. She grabbed the fallen cadet and pulled them back, bracing her weight against the shifting ground. The cadet stared at her in shock. "Hold on," Mara said. "I've got you." They believed her. As more cadets realized what was happening, they began to follow her lead. She assigned simple tasks, kept instructions clear. No long explanations, just action. Outside the yard, instructors watched in stunned silence. "She took command," one whispered, and they followed. Within minutes, the chaos settled. The simulation ended abruptly. The yard returned to normal. Breathing hard, Mara looked around. No one was hurt. Cadets stared at her, expressions changed, not fear. Something closer to respect. Later, Director Call reviewed the footage. Again and again, he watched the human move through disorder like it was familiar ground. He had supported the band to protect the academy. Now he wondered if it had done the opposite. That evening, as artificial stars lit the sky, Mara sat alone on a bench overlooking the campus. She felt tired but not defeated. On Earth, survival was never about being the strongest in the room. It was about adapting faster than the danger. Behind her, footsteps approached. Director Call stopped a few steps away. "You are changing things," he said. Mara did not turn. "I'm just being myself." "That may be the problem," the director replied quietly. She looked up at the stars. On a Deathworld, danger never asked permission. And humanity had learned long ago how to live anyway. The incident in the training yard did not fade away. By the next cycle, everyone at the academy knew what had happened. The emergency simulation footage circulated among instructors, then quietly among cadets. Some watched it out of curiosity. Others watched it again and again, trying to understand what they had seen. A human moving through chaos as if it were familiar ground. Mara felt the change before anyone spoke to her about it. Fewer cadets avoided her path now. Some still kept distance, but their eyes no longer showed only fear. There was calculation, thought, questions. Instructors, however, became more cautious. Her schedule was altered again. Group exercises were replaced with monitored tasks. Observation drones followed her more closely during free movement. It was not punishment, but it felt like a cage made of rules. Mara accepted it without protest. On Earth, attention from authority was something you learned to live with. Her next major assignment was a multi-species field exercise inside the Academy's largest training dome. The dome could simulate entire ecosystems with dangerous accuracy. This time it was configured as a hostile frontier world, unstable ground, aggressive native life, unpredictable weather. The cadets assigned to Mara's unit gathered near the entrance. They did not stand close together. Rilsa was there, shifting nervously from foot to foot. A tall insectoid named Kesh folded and unfolded their limbs repeatedly. A thick-skinned quadruped, Varn, stood apart with arms crossed. None of them spoke at first. Instructor Velun addressed them from a raised platform. "This is a cooperative survival exercise," he said. Your goal is to establish shelter, secure resources, and signal extraction within the time limit. His eyes paused on Mara. You will succeed or fail as a group. The dome doors opened. Heat rushed out first, followed by the smell of dust and sharp minerals. The sky inside was a harsh yellow, clouds moving too fast to be natural. The group hesitated. Mara stepped forward. "Let's move," she said simply. No one argued. Inside the dome, the ground shifted underfoot, small tremors rippling through the terrain. Strange plant structures rose from the earth, some flexible, some hard as stone. In the distance, low roars echoed. Kesh clicked nervously. "This environment is unstable. We should wait for instructions." "There won't be any," Mara replied. "That's the point." She scanned the area, already mapping paths in her mind. Elevated ground, natural windbreaks, access to water vapor near the rock formations. "Varn," she said, turning to the quadruped, "you're strong. Help me move those stones. We need cover." Varn blinked. No one had ever spoken to him so directly before. "Understood," he said after a moment. Rilsa watched, then gathered courage. "What can I do?" Mara smiled slightly. "You're good at spotting movement. Watch our perimeter." The simple assignments gave the group purpose. Slowly, tension eased. They worked together as the artificial sun climbed higher. The heat was intense, pressing down like a weight. Sweat dampened Mara's uniform, but she kept moving. At one point, Kesh stumbled as the ground shifted sharply. Without thinking, Mara reached out and steadied them. "Careful," she said. Kesh froze, then relaxed. "You reacted faster than the tremor warning." Mara nodded. "Earthquakes don't come with warnings." That earned silence. As they worked, something began to stalk them. Mara sensed it first, a change in sound. The way the wind stopped carrying certain echoes. She raised a hand. "Stop!" The group froze. From behind a cluster of rock-like plants, a large creature emerged. It moved on multiple limbs, armored with eyes that reflected light sharply. The simulation had escalated. Rilsa made a panicked sound. "Back," Mara whispered. "Slow." The creature stepped closer. Instructor Velun watched from the control room, heart rate rising. "This is beyond standard parameters," one assistant said. "Observe," Velun replied quietly. The creature lunged. Mara reacted instantly. She grabbed a loose metal tool, threw it hard against a distant rock, and shouted. The sound drew the creature's attention away. It turned, confused, and charged the noise. "Move," Mara ordered. They did. The group ran, but not blindly. Mara guided them toward a narrow passage where the creature's size worked against it. When it tried to follow, it became stuck, thrashing in frustration. The cadets did not cheer. They stared at Mara. "You didn't freeze," Varn said quietly. "Freezing gets you killed," Mara replied. The exercise continued, but the mood had changed completely. They succeeded in establishing shelter. They secured resources. They signaled extraction with time to spare. When the dome doors opened again, the group emerged together. Not separated, not afraid. That alone sent ripples through the academy. Later that cycle, Mara was summoned to a private chamber. Director Kahl waited inside, alone this time. "You are altering cadet behavior," he said without preamble. "I'm not trying to," Mara replied. "That may not matter." He activated a display. It showed data from multiple exercises, reaction times, stress responses, group cohesion metrics. "Your presence increases survival outcomes," Kahl admitted, "but it also challenges long-held assumptions." Mara folded her hands. "About Deathworlds. About control," the director said. Before she could respond, an alarm cut through the room. Not a simulation, a real one. External sensors detected a breach at the edge of the Academy's space. An unknown vessel had entered restricted orbit. Defense systems powered up automatically. The Academy had defenses. They had never been tested like this. In the control center, confusion spread. The vessel did not respond to hails. It released autonomous probes that disabled communication relays one by one. "This is not a raid," an officer said. It's probing. Director Kahl's eyes hardened. They are testing us. Emergency procedures were activated. Cadets were ordered to remain in secure zones, all except one group. A secondary alarm blared from within the training dome sector. One of the probes had impacted near it, causing system failures. Environmental controls destabilized. Several cadets were still inside during a late exercise. They're trapped, an aide said. Rescue teams hesitated. The dome environment was already hostile, now unpredictable. Director Kahl looked at the data, then at Mara. "You have experience with unstable conditions," he said slowly. Mara stood. "Tell me where they are." Moments later, she was moving again, this time with a small team of instructors and security drones. The dome systems flickered as they entered. Heat spiked. Gravity fluctuated. Inside, panic echoed. Cadets shouted, lost in the simulated terrain now turned partially real. Mara took control without waiting for permission. "Everyone stay where you are," she called through the comm. "Listen for my voice." She moved fast, navigating by instinct and pattern recognition. She found the first cadet pinned by debris and coordinated their extraction. Then another, hiding in a crevice. The ground shook violently. A support structure collapsed nearby. Without hesitation, Mara shoved two cadets out of the way as debris fell where they had been standing moments before. Instructors watched in disbelief. "She's not even looking at the danger," one whispered. "She's predicting it," another replied. As the last cadet was pulled to safety, the dome systems finally stabilized. Emergency shutters sealed the area. Breathing hard, Mara leaned against a wall. No one was injured. Outside, the unknown vessel withdrew, having gathered enough data. The academy stood intact. Later, as calm returned, Director Kahl addressed the council. "The human acted without hesitation," he said. "She assessed risk, prioritized lives, and adapted faster than our systems." Some council members objected. "She is an exception," Kahl shook his head. "No, she is a product," the word hung heavy. "A product of a world that demanded readiness every day." That night, Mara sat again beneath the artificial stars. This time, she was not alone. Cadets gathered nearby quietly at first. No one spoke, but their presence said enough. Fear had not vanished, but it had changed. Across the academy, a dangerous idea began to spread. If one human could do this, what else had the galaxy misunderstood about Deathworlds? The academy did not sleep after the breach. Lights stayed bright through the artificial night. Security patrols doubled. Data analysts replayed recordings again and again, searching for patterns in the unknown vessel's movements. No damage had been done, but the message was clear. Someone out there had been watching. Mara felt it in the air the next morning. Tension clung to the corridors like static. Cadets moved faster, spoke quieter. Instructors watched the skies shone on the ceiling displays instead of their lesson notes. For the first time since arriving, Mara was not ignored. Cadets nodded to her as she passed. Some offered brief words of thanks. Others simply stepped closer, no longer afraid to share space. The change was subtle but real. Director Kahl convened an emergency council. Representatives from allied systems appeared as holograms around the circular chamber. Some faces showed concern, others showed anger. "The academy was targeted," one counselor said. "This is a direct consequence of allowing a Deathworld cadet to remain." "That is an assumption," Kahl replied calmly. "The timing is too precise," another insisted. "The human reveals herself, and shortly after, an unknown force probes our defenses." Mara stood at the side of the chamber, silent. She had been asked to attend, not to speak. Kahl turned toward her. "Cadet Ellison, you were raised on Earth. Do you believe this event was coincidence?" Mara thought carefully. "On Earth," she said, "we learn that danger looks for weakness. If someone came here, they didn't come because of me. They came because they thought this place was safe." A quiet ripple moved through the council. "She is suggesting we appeared unprepared," one counselor said. "I am suggesting," Mara replied evenly, that being peaceful is not the same as being ready. The words landed harder than she intended. Call nodded slowly. That distinction may be the heart of this matter. Despite her growing support, restrictions tightened. Mara was assigned an escort during off hours. Her access to certain systems was limited. Officially, this was for her protection. Unofficially, it was fear wearing a polite mask. Training continued, but now it included emergency drills that pushed the Academy's limits. Multi-species response teams practiced containment, evacuation, and coordination under stress. And again, the teams that included Mara performed better, not because she commanded, because she adapted. During one drill, communications failed completely. Panic began to spread until Mara switched to hand signals and simple positioning. The team followed without question. Afterward, Instructor Velun watched her in silence. "You don't wait for permission," he finally said. Mara wiped sweat from her brow. "Permission doesn't stop fires or floods." Velun let out a slow breath. "That mindset frightens many here." "It shouldn't," Mara replied. "It should prepare them." Outside the Academy, the galaxy stirred. Reports arrived of similar probes near other neutral institutions. Trade routes experienced unexplained disruptions. Defense networks detected silent scans that vanished before identification. Something was mapping civilization. And it was not impressed. The council reconvened with urgency. This time voices were raised. Blame shifted rapidly. Some argued for closing the Academy entirely until the threat passed. "We cannot afford chaos," one counselor said. "We cannot afford denial," Call responded. All eyes turned to the human again. "You believe Earth prepares its people for this kind of uncertainty," the counselor said. "Explain." Mara stood straighter. "Earth doesn't prepare us because it wants to. It prepares us because it has to. Storms don't wait. Predators don't announce themselves. Systems fail. We learn to assume things will go wrong and plan anyway." "And this makes you superior," another demanded. "No," Mara said firmly. "It makes us cautious and creative." The chamber fell quiet. Call made a decision that would have been unthinkable days earlier. "We will adapt," he said. "We will learn from what works." He turned to Mara. "Cadet Ellison will assist in designing adaptive response training." The reaction was immediate and divided. Some counselors protested. Others hesitated, then nodded. Mara did not celebrate. Responsibility weighed heavier than fear. The new training began quickly. Mara worked with instructors to redesign drills. They removed perfect information. They introduced unexpected failures. They encouraged initiative over rigid protocol. At first, cadets struggled. They wanted clear rules, fixed answers. Mara watched them fail, then helped them understand why. "Look around," she told one group after a failed drill. "What changed?" "The terrain," a cadet said. "The signals," another added. "Yes," Mara replied. "So why did you keep doing the same thing?" The question stayed with them. Slowly, progress followed. Cadets began to talk to each other more, to share ideas across species, to trust instincts as well as instructions. Fear of Mara faded into something new. Respect. Not everyone approved. A faction within the council continued to push for the Deathworld ban to be enforced retroactively. They argued that humanity's influence was destabilizing established order. One evening, as Mara returned to her quarters, she sensed movement behind her. Footsteps too careful to be casual. She turned. A tall, smooth-skinned alien stepped out of the shadows. Council insignia marked their uniform. "You are changing the Academy," they said quietly. "I'm trying to help it survive," Mara replied. "That may not be the same thing," the counselor said. "Order has value." "So does preparation," Mara answered. The counselor studied her. "If conflict comes, your kind will be expected to stand at the front." Mara did not hesitate. "We always do." The next day, the unknown force returned. This time it did not hide. A fleet appeared at the edge of controlled space, not attacking, simply waiting. The message was clear: we are here. Panic rippled through nearby systems. Some demanded immediate negotiations. Others prepared defenses. The academy became a focal point. Its students represented dozens of species. Its fate would send a signal. Director Call addressed the entire academy in a live broadcast. "We are facing uncertainty," he said. "But uncertainty does not mean helplessness." His gaze shifted to Mara, standing among the cadets. "We will rely on what we have learned, together." Emergency drills activated across the station. Defensive platforms powered up. Cadets were assigned roles in support, coordination, and evacuation. Mara found herself at the center of a mixed-species command node. No title, no rank change, just trust. Reports streamed in. The fleet launched probes again, more aggressive this time. Systems flickered as they tested responses. Mara listened, processed, and acted. "Redirect power here. Move civilians through secondary routes. Don't chase the probes. Let them think we're slower than we are." Instructors followed her suggestions without hesitation. The probes withdrew sooner than expected. Confused, the fleet held position for several tense hours. Then it moved on. No attack, no words, just observation. Relief washed over the academy, but it was not celebration. Everyone knew this was not over. In the aftermath, the council met one final time on the matter of the ban. The evidence was undeniable. Cadet performance had improved. Response times shortened. Cooperation deepened. And at the center of it all stood a human from a Deathworld. Director Kahl spoke the final words. "The ban was born of fear," he said. "Fear of difference, fear of losing control." He looked around the chamber. "Today, we choose readiness over fear." The Deathworld ban was suspended. For the first time, the galaxy acknowledged what Earth had always known. Survival was not about perfect worlds. It was about people who could stand steady when everything else shook. That night, Mara sat beneath the artificial stars once more. This time, cadets from many worlds sat beside her openly. They spoke of lessons learned, of mistakes made, of confidence growing. Mara listened more than she spoke. She knew the galaxy was changing. And this time, humanity would not face it alone. The fleet did not return for several days. That silence was worse than open threat. Across the academy, preparations continued without pause. Defensive systems stayed active. Training schedules shifted again, this time focused on endurance and long-term readiness. Cadets learned to rest in short cycles, to rotate duties, and to stay calm when nothing happened. Mara understood the pattern. On Earth, danger often waited. Predators circled. Storms gathered strength before striking. Silence was never comfort. She walked the corridors at night, checking in on cadets assigned to late shifts. She spoke little, but her presence alone seemed to steady them. She did not act like a hero. She acted like someone who expected things to go wrong and planned anyway. Director Kahl watched this quietly. He had led the academy for decades. He had believed stability came from rules, from predictability. Now he saw something different forming. A culture that did not break when plans failed. A culture shaped by a human mindset. The fleet returned without warning. No probes this time. No slow approach. They crossed into controlled space and stopped directly in line with the academy. Alarms rang throughout the station. "All hands to station," security announced. "This is not a drill." Cadets moved fast. There was fear but no panic. Training had changed them. They knew their roles. Support teams moved civilians deeper into secure zones. Communication hubs activated backup systems. Defensive arrays locked on targets but did not fire. Mara stood in the command node with instructors and senior cadets. Data streamed across the displays. The fleet was larger than before. Unknown design. No recognizable markings. "They're waiting," an officer said. "They're not attacking. They want to see how we respond," Mara said. Director Kahl joined the channel. "Options. Opening fire would be a mistake," Mara replied. They'd already be gone if they feared us. They're studying reactions. Then what do you suggest? Call asked. Mara took a breath. Show them we're not fragile. The words were simple, but their meaning spread quickly. Instead of pulling back, the Academy adjusted posture. Defensive systems remained active but visible. Cadets continued moving, working, coordinating. No chaos, no silence. A signal came from the fleet, a narrowband transmission, translated slowly. Identify representative. The room went quiet. Many eyes turned toward Mara. Director Call hesitated only a moment. Cadet Ellison, he said, you will not go alone, but you will speak. Mara nodded. A controlled communication channel opened. A projection filled the air. The image was sharp and unsettling. The alien commander was tall, angular, with eyes that reflected light strangely. You are unusual, the commander said. This place adapted faster than expected. Mara met its gaze calmly. We adapt because we have to, she said. Your world, the commander asked. Earth. A pause followed. A death world, the alien said. You were not supposed to be here. Mara's voice did not change. Neither were you. The commander tilted its head. We evaluate civilizations. Most rely on systems. Remove the system and they collapse. And us? Mara asked. You did not, the alien replied. You changed behavior. That's called learning, Mara said. The commander studied her. Your species spreads instability. Mara shook her head. We spread readiness. Silence followed, then a statement that chilled the room. We are searching for threats. And you think we are one? Mara asked. No, the commander said. We think you are an answer. The transmission ended. The fleet powered down weapons. Then slowly it withdrew. Relief flooded the academy, but it was careful relief. No cheers, no celebration. Everyone understood what had happened. The galaxy had been watching, and humanity had been judged. In the days that followed, messages arrived from allied systems. Questions, requests, curiosity replaced suspicion. They wanted to know about Earth, about Deathworlds, about humans. The Academy Council reconvened one last time. This time the tone was different. There was no shouting, no fear-driven arguments. Director Kahl spoke clearly. The ban against Deathworld cadets is hereby revoked, he announced. Not suspended, revoked. The decision was unanimous. Furthermore, Earth was reclassified not as a Deathworld alone, but as a crucible world, a place that forged resilience, adaptability, and cooperation under pressure. Mara was present when the decision was announced. She did not smile. She felt something heavier than victory, responsibility. Cadets from other harsh worlds began arriving soon after. They were different in shape, culture, and biology, but familiar in spirit. They carried quiet confidence, alert eyes, the habit of planning for the worst while hoping for the best. Mara welcomed them. She was no longer alone. One evening, as the academy returned to something close to normal, Mara sat beneath the artificial stars again. This time, the space around her was full. Cadets laughed softly, shared stories, compared homeworld challenges. Rilsa sat beside her. You changed everything, Rilsa said. Mara shook her head. No, I just showed what was already there. Director Kahl approached, standing at a respectful distance. The galaxy will remember this, he said. They will remember humanity. Mara looked up at the stars. Then let them remember us like this, she replied. Calm under pressure, ready when it matters, Kahl nodded. Far beyond the academy, deep in space, the unknown fleet transmitted its findings. Civilizations varied, most broke when tested. One adapted from a dangerous world. From a species shaped not by peace but by survival. The conclusion was simple. Humanity was not the galaxy's greatest threat. It was its greatest insurance. And from that day forward, when danger looked for weakness, it would think twice. Because somewhere among the stars, a human had raised her hand and said, I'm from Earth.